Well, welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. Today I want to go through some completed sales prices and talk about the comic book market. Most of these are from the MyComicShop website, where they do sort of the in-house auctions. So I think these will be a really good idea of the fair market value for these 9.8 comics. And all the prices are in US dollars as well. So the first one up, it's an Uncanny X-Men 239 in a 9.8. This one's got a lot going for it, I think. Uncanny X-Men 221, the first appearance of Mr. Sinister, pretty underwhelming cover on that one. So I think over time, this 239 is just, it's pretty much the second appearance of Mr. Sinister and the first cover of Mr. Sinister. So this one's really like the classic cover to get for Mr. Sinister fans. And I think this has got a chance to be well collected over time, for sure. And it's pretty well collected right now. And I saw one sell for $150. Yes, and this is one I had picked up. It was probably about a year ago now, and it was like $179.99, I believe. It might have been $169.99, but kind of right in that area. So maybe just pulling back a little bit more in price. This one had a nice centering on it as well. So yeah, I think, a well-centered one, looking really good with nice colors. In a direct edition, I think $150 is a pretty good price. You might be able to get just a little bit under $150, maybe if the centering looks a little wonky on a stealthy auction. But yeah, Uncanny X-Men 239 is a pretty great one. It is like the classic Mr. Sinister cover to get, so absolutely one to think about if you're a Mr. Sinister fan. The next one's a cool one. It's a Star Wars 68 in a newsstand. Yeah, this is pretty much like the classic Boba Fett cover to get. And this one sold for $1,700. Yeah, that's a pretty hefty price. I'm not too sure. Like, certainly this one and all Star Wars books like this have cooled down a lot since the Boba Fett show, and things were certainly a lot hotter during the pandemic. But yeah, I'm not too sure of the price history on this one, to be honest. In a newsstand edition, $1,700 seems pretty hefty. Maybe you can aim, let things cool down maybe a little bit more with Star Wars, and you get this one under $1,500 in a newsstand edition. But one did go for $1,700. Okay, and next one, one of my favorite kind of early 90s books, I think. It's Silver Surfer 44, first appearance of the Infinity Gauntlet. This is one of my favorites. Yeah, I got this one in a newsstand. I got two direct editions in a 9.8 too. Kind of one I really targeted. I think like how the Infinity Gauntlet was just sort of immortalized in the Avengers movies. And I think those Avengers movies, as time goes on, that's going to be like almost the peak of like superhero movies in some sense. So I think the first appearance of Infinity Gauntlet's a cool one. Great cover. You get all those 90s vibes on this really colorful cover as well. So I like this one. In a direct edition, though, it sold for $212. Yeah. I thought this one was kind of going in the $275, $250, $275 range, but I think $212 is a good deal in a direct edition, 9.8 white pages. And yeah, if you like this one, I think pretty much, at this $212 price, I think is a price target to aim for. Yeah, solid fair market value for a Silver Surfer 44 in a 9.8. Next one, a big modern key, NYX number 3. First appearance of Laura Kinney, X-23, went for a $1,175. So I think we had saw one go for $900, probably about a month ago or so. I documented that on a video. So maybe the price range on this one is kind of, if you get super lucky, around 900, up to 1,175. It is a big key. Maybe this one is just bouncing up a little bit. I did feel like 900 was a pretty amazing deal. So, 1,175, maybe if the centering's awesome and it just looks great and you're a huge X-23 fan, you can pay up to that. But yeah, a few going under 1,000, so maybe you'd want to aim for under 1,000 on an NYX number 3 right now. Next one's a pretty cool, kind of underfollowed one that might have some potential. It's a Century number 1. Yeah, I think this one's a kind of later 90s book. First appearance of Century. $260 I saw this one go for in a 9.8. I'm not the biggest Century fan, to be honest. I'm not too sure of the fair market value for this one, where this one's been going lately. But if you are a Century fan, one did go for $260 US. Next one I think is just a great value. I did highlight it on my one of the kind of affordable hidden gem videos, I think it was. It's Tale of the Teen Titans 44, when Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing. It went for $282 in a direct edition. Yeah, I think that's a great price. That's just, you know, a solid book if you're a big DC guy, especially if you're a Nightwing fan. This is just one to want, and it's one I don't have. I definitely do want it. And at $282, like, I got to keep my eyes out for a nice centered one. Hopefully one pops up in Canada on eBay or something like that I could get for a really good deal. Yeah, I think pretty much $282 is a price target to aim for on this one. I don't think you need to wait any longer on this one for it to pull back or anything like that. Yeah, if you're a Nightwing fan, this is kind of the one to get. George Perez classic cover. Yeah, so I think $282 is pretty much the good fair market value on that one. And next one I think is you can look at possibly grabbing this one now. It's Moon Knight #1. Yeah, the first solo Moon Knight titled comic book. And you know, this one was so hot during the pandemic and leading up to that Moon Knight show. I was definitely hands off during that. I remember, you know, not really recommending it at all and just saying you want to be patient on this one. I think it, you know, it was like $800, maybe even it got to $1,000 there for a minute because everything was so hot, you know, along with that show coming out. One sold for $345. So yeah, I think you might even be able to get this a little closer to $300 on a Moon Knight one right now. I would probably aim a little closer to $300 if you want to save a couple bucks. But this is one you can look at buying now. Yeah, if you're a Moon Knight fan, like the show came out, the promo came out, all that happened. Now we're a year, you know, 2 years after that. And this one's cooling down, and you can consider a Moon Knight one in a 9.8, hopefully closer to around $300. Next one is just one I really love and talk about quite a bit. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, #1. It sold for $751. Yeah, good looking copies have been going for about $750 recently. There was a one on MyComicShop auctions that went for $575 that really surprised me. But I think that was a bit of an anomaly, and you know, that was about a month and a half, maybe even 2 months ago now. So maybe things were just really kind of anemic and cold at that time. You know, this one bouncing back up, and the last few that I've sold have went right around the 750 level. So, you know, maybe you're a little patient, you get it under 700 is probably doable. But just a great one if you're a G.I. Joe fan. Yeah, kind of the one to get. That's well, you know, there's G.I. Joe 21 in a 9.8, which is way more expensive, and the tougher 9.8. But you almost can't go wrong with a G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero #1. That one's selling for $751. Next one's a really cool one. As you know, I'm a big Batman fan. This one's really underfollowed, but it's a Batman Cacophony #3 in the 9.8 sold. This is pretty much as close as you're going to get to like a Heath Ledger Joker cover, I think. So, you know, over time it's pretty well collected. And this one sold for $113. Yeah, for just like a, you know, not even a key issue at all. And I don't think anyone's collecting these Batman Cacophony issues. Yeah, for this one to go over $100 shows that, you know, there's some people targeting this pretty much because it looks like the Heath Ledger Joker. I'm not too sure the price history very much on this one, but yeah, if you want this one right around $100, I think is kind of a really cool underfollowed Batman collector item, especially if you're like the biggest Dark Knight movie fan, Heath Ledger Joker fan, which I am, to be honest. I was watching this one and, you know, kind of was tempted to, you know, throw in a bid, but I probably would have been outbid because I didn't think it would go over $100. So yeah, people got their eye on this one, I think, and yeah, pretty cool one. If you're a Heath Ledger Joker fan, selling for $113. Next one is one I just really love. Yeah, one I kind of remember from my childhood so much. Amazing Spider-Man 431. The awesome classic Cosmic Carnage cover. Always love this cover. With this book in the 90s, I had a friend who had this book, but I didn't have it. And I was like always really jealous of him. But I got 2 of these in a 9.8. I really wanted to grab these when I bought them in like 2019. And this one, though, had sold for $170. And yeah, one of mine was like $170, and the other one I think was like, I got a pretty good deal on it. I think it was like $125 or something back then. So this one hasn't, done too much in sort of price appreciation or value, but just a cool one. Like, especially for me, just so much nostalgia attached to an Amazing Spider-Man 431 for myself. So that one's selling for $170. Here's one I do have, and I probably should have been a little more patient on it because the price has come down a little bit. But it's Superman Batman Annual number 4. Yeah, great art germ cover. I love this cover. And it's pretty much like the first full appearance of Batman Beyond in DCU, I guess. Pretty highly debated. I know there's that Superman Batman, 22 book where you get Batman Beyond in the story. Although I think they call him like Tim. So there's a bit of a debate going, but this one still has like the way better cover, and a lot of people go to this one for a first full appearance of Batman Beyond in the DCU in continuity. Sold for $140. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I picked this one up for like $280 or something like that during the pandemic. So yeah, kind of understandable how it wouldn't hold that higher pandemic price. But $140, I think, is totally worth it if you're a Batman Beyond fan. Yeah, this is just a great cover to have. Yeah, it looks so cool. And in the back, if you notice, like in the back in the bulb, it's kind of like the old school Batman Superman. But then in the front, it's like Batman Beyond and Superman in a kind of futuristic suit. So this one's really cool, I think. Okay, next one is such a great one. It's Wolverine number 8. I do have this one. This one's holding its value. You almost can't go wrong with like a Wolverine and Hulk key issue, to be honest. And Wolverine 8 in a direct sold for $325 in a 9.8. Yeah, this is just like for me, it's like, in the 80s. Oh, jeez, kitty. In the 80s, well, obviously there's Hulk 181, which is like the Wolverine and Hulk book to get. Then Hulk 340, I would say in the 1980s is like the 1980s one to get. And then second in line, a little bit more affordable, is pretty much Wolverine number 8. And it's really held its value and kind of surprised me how well it's collected, and still going for over $300. So one's selling for $325, and kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, like any big Wolverine and Hulk awesome looking book is going to be a great collector item. And yeah, I think maybe aim like right around 300, maybe a little bit less if you want to be patient on that one. Okay, a couple Star Wars books to end it off here. Star Wars Heir to the Empire, number 1. First appearance of Grand Admiral Thrawn on this one, and isn't Mara Jade? I think so. $737 I saw one go for in a direct edition. Yeah, these have been kind of $700 to $800 recently. Yeah, the thing with this one, still might be a little bit of time for it to cool down with that Ahsoka show being out. There's a little bit of promo for Thrawn right now. But I do have a good feeling that Thrawn, he's probably going to be reoccurring in a lot of this Star Wars content. Like, he's sort of like, maybe like the Thanos of the Avengers movies, where he's going to be in a lot of stuff. Kind of like the new Darth Vader, possibly. So, yeah, you know what? I think you might want to maybe be a little patient on this one. But I think if it gets around 600, maybe a little under 600, in the direct edition, I think at that point you could feel pretty comfortable buying. And certainly if you're a big Grand Admiral Thrawn fan, if you got a long-term time horizon, I think this one should kind of stick around these prices, and hopefully they just keep using Thrawn in the pop culture, and this one has a good trend moving forward. And last one, I did see a Star Wars number 1 from 1977 in a 9.8 sell on these MyComicShop auctions. It went for $3,450. And yeah, I think that's about where they're going. You got one that looks a little wonky, or maybe it's off-white to white pages. It goes a little closer to $3,000. But a nice looking one, pretty much $3,500 right now. I'd be willing to pay for a nice looking one. And yeah, you just can't go wrong with the Star Wars number 1. That's on my short list of like absolute no-brainer, serious investment grade 9.8 comics to get. And and it's kind of nice with the Star Wars #1. You can find them somewhat easily in a 9.8. Star Wars was so popular, it is pretty super heavily printed for a 1977 book. But given all that, you get all those huge first appearances. Star Wars, such a big brand, it's going to be around for 100 years. So, this one, during the pandemic, I know things were really hot with Star Wars, but it was like $6,000 for a minute there. I think even a little higher at one point. So this one has time to kind of cool down. It does seem like there's a lot of hate for Star Wars right now. I'm not too into like the new shows or anything. I don't have Disney Plus or anything like that. I'm not a bit too big of a TV guy. But this one has had time to pull back in price, and I think you could start nibbling right now. At least you didn't pay $6,000 during the pandemic for it. At for a nice one, $3,450 I think is a solid fair market value for a serious investment grade 9.8 in the Star Wars #1. Okay, that'll be all. All the prices were in US dollars that we talked about. I always talk US dollars on the channel. But I think things seem to be leveling off. A lot of these feel like pretty great deals, to be honest. I think that the Uncanny X-Men 239 is a really cool classic Sinister cover. But I think there's like I said on the last one, I think it's pretty much a buyer's market right now. Whereas, during the pandemic, it was even tough for me to kind of get up here and make these videos and talk about these books because you almost felt that they were just so expensive and things were going to cool down on the other half of the pandemic. And, I think, we could pretty much say that yes, there was a comic book bubble during the pandemic. We're on the other side of that now. Yeah, prices are just a lot better to kind of, hunt for some 9.8 books that you might want. Okay, we'll leave it at that, though. Thanks for watching, team. I'll see you on the next one.